Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. Reporting out from closed session with regard to student case 2401 motion. The motion for expulsion was accepted with a motion by trustee McAllister and seconded by trustee Lopez Pardo. It carried unanimously. And then with regard to 4.2 student case 2402, the motion for expulsion was accepted with a motion by trustee Romo Flores and seconded by trustee McAllister, carried unanimously. So now we will hear any adjustments to the agenda.
So we do have one small adjustment, item 10.3C, the bylaws for English Learner Advisory Committee and the DLAC. Trustee Potmasill has requested, because there was a minor change made, that we pull it to move it.
Thank you, Chris. Mike, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will be celebrating our
Debbie, is it me or are you doing it?
We could just go to the slides, I guess.
We are clearly excited about this. No, we are very excited about it. It has just been a day before school opens. So we, as you know, had an extremely tight timeline in remodeling all of the, not all of them. I think there were 2 classrooms that we didn't remodel in the main hallway, the 20s and 40s hall at the high school. So it was a massive endeavor to close school, get teachers out of their rooms right away, get the construction workers in there, places remodeled, and then move everybody back in. And we were literally moving everybody back in last week still. But we made it, and just wanted to highlight some of the before and afters there. So as you will recall, we put in new windows. So the original windows were from the 50s. They were single paned. They were not very economical or environmentally friendly. We were able to put new siding up around the main office there. So you can see both the new windows and the new siding at the main office, new paint. Worth noting, I will say this, there was a, not related to us, there was a labor stoppage related to wages that were being contested by the North Bay Painters Association, I believe it's called, out of San Francisco. And so for a couple days, all work stopped. And we had some painters picketing out front. They were also picketing the North Village development in town. It had nothing to do with us or our contracts, just simply had to do with a larger labor issue. So we were very nervous because it was already tight to begin with. So it is a testament to not only our contractor and the painters who worked madly after they came back and all the rest of the construction workers, but our custodial teams who did all the moving out and moving back in. And then cleaning up after the construction to get things back online. So you can see some of the classrooms in the middle, the classroom there with the carpet torn out and all the wall torn apart, and new ceiling tiles, et cetera. All new lighting in the classrooms. It's more efficient lighting as well. So a list of the scope: new windows, floors replaced, cabinets, beautiful cabinetry installed in all the classrooms. The walls were stripped down and resheeted and finished. And then the new lighting is wonderful. It's not exactly the same in every classroom. It's the same kind of cabinets. It's the same carpet and paint, but there's different configurations just to have a little variation in the classes. So looks wonderful. The staff has been really excited coming back to their classrooms and moving in. I talked to one teacher, Miss Ronis, who's like, I felt like I got a new car, you know, super excited. So new car smell in her room. And again, you can see some of the work that went on here. And that's the new carpet going in. Here's the timeline. Like I said, this is actually kind of fun to look at. We sent an email in January. Remember, you're going to have to move out of your classroom by the end of the last day of school. And brought boxes in at that point, hoping that people would take advantage of the long weekends in February and spring break to be able to do some of the moving. And staff who were asked to move did get a stipend from the district to compensate them for some of their time. Construction began right away on June 12th, and we took the construction fence down on the 11th, just 5 days ago. So it was a very tight timeline, like I said, with the work stoppage in the middle. Couple of days there where we were really nervous, but really proud of our team. Thank you to Counterpoint Construction Tenaya, GCCI, the contractor who worked on it, and to Debbie and the maintenance and custodial teams for doing such quick and efficient work getting people back in. So we are ready to go for tomorrow, and the classrooms look great. So you can see a before and after from the same classroom there. A lot brighter, better lighting, and we'll really notice the difference on the hot days and the cold days when the heat stays in or doesn't come in and it stays cool in the classrooms. So one side note, I think this is still true, Debbie, we did not find much dry rot, which we hadn't anticipated. So we have a dry rot allowance that we had put into the project that we'll get back because we thankfully didn't find that. So any questions?
Awesome job. And I just want to say that this was one of the ways that we all decided to allocate the bond money. So I just want to thank the voters of Healdsburg for approving that bond, because this is really makes the high school, these renovations were super important. And so we have the voters to thank.
Yeah, I think it's Measure D from 2015, $67 million in bond money for the school district. As we're careful and we plan meticulously. This is the second to last project with those bond dollars. As you'll recall, we're moving forward with the renovation of Frost Hall to be a multi-purpose room, performing arts / presentation place, as well as a wrestling room and gymnasium. So that will happen next summer. So
can I just also thank our bond oversight committee who who have participated in this as well, and it's been really rewarding and great to see these projects move forward, and just to make these big, much needed improvements, and looking towards spaces that fulfill our goals. So
I also want to thank Rob Smith. He is retired, sort of, not really. He's tired. Yeah, we'll take the read part out. He because we were without a maintenance operations supervisor, he generously came back and worked most of the summer in districts, still around, helping onboard our new person, Dennis Vickery. But he had a huge part in this. And so again, it was no small endeavor to have our maintenance custodial teams move things out and then move things back in and get all the floors and the hallways ready and all the cleaning done post construction in time. So they worked hard, and our kids are going to benefit as a result. So
may I make a comment and ask you a question? First of all, this looks great, and I'm very impressed that they could do it in this quick timeline. But as well as the renovation of the school, my understanding, we have a renovation of the school administration. Would you mind introducing?
Yes. So when was our special news? Like 2 weeks ago, I think, maybe a week and a half ago. Principal Francisco Manriquez is moving up to principal. He was assistant principal. And John Weller, who is coming from the Tamalpais Union High School District, his assistant principal. We're really excited to have him, and they seem to be a great team. So good things ahead for HHS.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Chris. Do we have any public comments on non-agenda items? Okay, hearing none. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will motion. And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I think we'll move on to 11.1 student learning.
Before we do that, we need to discuss 10.3C.
Oh, okay.
So this is the bylaws for the DLAC and then for Healdsburg High School and junior high ELACs. We had them combined into one document and spoke with Trustee Potmacell, and we both agreed that was confusing. And so we separated them out. There's no substantive changes in terms of what is called for in the bylaws. We just called it out. So there's one copy for the ELACs and then there's a copy for the DLAC. So
and are these available?
They are at the back table. They were also put in the agenda today online.
Oh, great.
To the board.
Okay, thank you.
So we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I will make the motion to approve both the ELAC and the DLAC bylaws.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
To that point, can I just make a suggestion? We've worked on this for a year and a half at least. After they've been in place for a number of months, that we kind of come back, or the committees come back and look at and make sure that tuned to the right point.
Yeah, what's working, what isn't, what needs to be refined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are we ready to move on to 11.1?
We are.
Summer school summary. And this is a report.
I think Eric is first in the pack. Yeah, ideally. That's high school. FMC, elementary. Okay. So Principal McGuire is going to. I just want to thank you publicly. This is the third year you've done it? Second? Overall. Lots. Yeah. You know, in my lots. And then COVID, right? You know, no news is good news in my business, right? And there is very little news coming from here, which means everything's handled and running smoothly and beautifully. Made, you know, 2 walkthroughs and students were learning and happy and fed. And I just want to thank you. I know you have your own family and a toddler, and to spend, you know, an extra couple weeks making sure that our students get some learning experiences is really nice. And you do a phenomenal job of doing everything. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, good evening. So here, so at FMC, we hosted the K-5 or Rising. So 1st through 6th graders on campus. We had 78 students, 1 class per grade level, and every class was self-contained with a paraprofessional as well, except for 3rd and 4th grade. They ran the specialist model, so they shared students throughout the day, and 1 teacher taught STEM, 1 taught humanities. But they were nice small classes with a dedicated paraprofessional, which was fantastic. And we also, and starting last year, we did this, we ran almost a full day program. So we ran from 8:30 to 2 instead of how we used to do it years ago, which was just that few hours in the morning. And really the focus is kind of on everything, right? So the idea that, and we were looking for targeting students K-5 who are on the cusp of, right? So we're not necessarily looking just because of being able to serve, and really extending that learning opportunity for students who are on the cusp of moving to proficiency, or on watch was, and some intervention students as well, but really trying to capture those students who that additional 3 weeks of learning, which was 2 days off each week because of Juneteenth and starting on a Tuesday, but mostly 3 weeks of learning would really benefit. So, but what I have in here is some of the fun that they had. So the teachers, you know, they did station rotation for language arts and for math, but they also were asked to do a mini PBL unit that could be done in 3 weeks to really get students, right, to come to summer school, to want to be there. We had the most no-shows in 5th grade, which is just still a couple, but you know, wanting to make it fun. There we go. So these are some pictures of our 1st graders, so students that just finished kinder. They did Little Red Hen play, which was really, really sweet. So they were all different characters. I wanted to embed the video, and I'm happy to send it out. We videoed the students performing it. Maribel in the office did, and then she emailed it out to all families so they could see it, which was really sweet. Another set of pictures, the star of the show. It was really, really sweet to watch them. Oh, you know what? This actually is the video, but I don't know if it'll play. Do you think there's, I don't know. I don't think it was a bit. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. No, that's okay. I didn't think about it ahead of time. I put this together in June, so like right when summer school was over, so that I would be ready for it. And then, and here's, this is in Miss Aguayo's class. The students are doing a grammar lesson, and I captured this shot just to kind of demonstrate the engagement from students. Again, watching the teacher, all of them were participating. This is our fourth graders. They did their mini PBL was on electricity and currents right before coming into the class at this day's morning recess. Some of the students came to me and said, "Yeah, we almost started a fire. There was a little bit of smoke." It was not really that close. Why Aaron didn't get a phone, nobody got a phone call. But they were so engaged in activity and working with these circuit boards and learning about electricity. It was a lesson they were learning in their STEM and humanities class. This was with Miss Robinson and Miss Cindy or Miss Ritchie in the class working with these students. And they even made their little my electricity notebook you can see in the picture there. Students working with their circuits. Ms. Hernandez, again, reading, engaged with her students. Some art that they did. This was a backdrop for, they also did like a little mini, like a read aloud, a reader's theater that she sent individual emails to parents at the end of summer school with videos of their students. Some art by our second graders. So hard for me to call them by the year that they're going into. This was by second graders. And then Miss Alcala led all students in a dance, and I'm not going to say it correctly in Spanish, but that Paseo de Rode, do you know what I'm talking about? Anybody? But she taught her students, no. Okay. Sorry. I wish I had a video of this, but I did not take a video. But what is it?
El caballo dorado?
Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. Well, there's the slower version, and then there's the faster version, right?
Payaso de rodeo.
Yes, yes. I have it plays on my car. My son loves that song. I can't even tell you because it's in my like lunch mix remix, and so sometimes it just comes on and he like wants to repeat. So Miss Alcala taught her class. She was doing it in her class every day as just a little like brain break. And then on the last day at lunch recess, she came out, got all the students right after lunch recess. And then her kids were like the leaders in doing it as a whole school. It was really fun. And so just, finally, it wouldn't happen without staff that are willing to work those additional 3 weeks. So these are the teachers. It is in kind of grade order. Miss Aguayo taught the first grade to then Miss Saghetti doing fifth grade. Miss Saghetti is the third grade teacher. And May, I was like, do you want to do fifth grade? And she jumped on board. So, and then you can see the paraprofessionals, and then the school secretary for summer school was Maribel, who's our secretary at Fitch. But again, wouldn't happen without all of them and be as smooth as it was. Thank you to them. Questions?
Thank you so much.
You.
And next, we're going to have Dr. Perez and Mr. Lopez, who were a part of our secondary program, explain what happened with our high school age students over summer school. And again, I can't say enough, the high school program is much longer. It's 6 weeks. and it goes, you know, all the way through July, when even people like me are trying to get a vacation. So it's a little scary that, you know, lots of people are gone. There's very little support. I'm looking over at Debbie, you know, one of the longtime summer warriors that's around. So it's, you know, it's always a little nerve-wracking when you've got this many students who are on campus and are learning, and there's not as many adults and everything going around. But Dr. Perez and his team, like Mr. Lopez, again, just did a phenomenal job. There were no SOS calls that I'm aware of that came up for support. And that's just a testament to the relationships that these people build, the organization. Dr. Perez serves as a teacher during the regular school year, and he started working on this before I left in January. He started working on this in like October, November. So students were getting, you know, enrolled early and information out. And because of that, it was a much cleaner beginning and, you know, 6-week-long summer school. So again, I just wanted to give a shout out to you guys publicly and invite you to give us some details. Yeah, come on up.
Thank you very much, Erin, for those kind words. And I just want to add that really almost a year ago today is when I really put that seed back in my mind that listening to all the commitments from your side, that this is something that we want to be part of and grow from. And it really is a team effort, and it started early, and it started from meeting with teachers and meeting with departments and asking, what does summer school really look like for Healdsburg High School? What does it look like for our district? Meeting with Aaron, meeting with Francisco and saying, hey, we really want to grow from there. So what I'm going to show you today, I brought a show and tell too. I brought a teacher that really will share some of his experiences. He is, Mr. Lopez is a graduate from Healdsburg, and we're excited to have him on board. So the first picture you see up there is our ending celebration, because we spent a lot of time together. Each one of those teachers that I'm showing up today and beyond that aren't in the pictures really offered themselves to summer school in terms of what does it take to provide a 3-week session? What does it take to connect with kids and hold on to their attention when all their friends are on summer vacation? And what does it take for us to come to a community and say, hey, this is something we're going to value and cherish because we've worked hard and come together. So let me move on. This is our, and I failed to mention her at the very beginning, my partner in crime, Russell Nava. She and I just connected about a year ago, or almost a year and a half ago, when we took it off for the first year and said, let's do this again. This is good. She lives across the street from Healdsburg, and I'm on campus, so it made a perfect match. And then the other very glowing person that I'll just keep on talking about forever is Maria Cardiel. Last year I had Vanessa, and she moved up to the district office. This year I had Maria, and she left nothing behind, and she just took off. And she moved from summer school. Now she's going to be a teacher / support for Nicole's school. And I'm going to have some thank yous later in a few minutes with Nicole. We're blessed to have the majority of the staff members come back from all the key positions. We ran the high school program this year, and later on, if you have any questions, our numbers are still developing from the junior high school, working very closely with Nicole's team to develop a program that's going to be coming into the future, and we can talk more about that as we get through. But this team that you see up here, we're made of individuals who are just both content masters and really strong with their social emotional spots with kids. Welcoming kids, I saw them early, I saw them connecting in different ways in terms of their content, and they are truly masters at blending SEL and content at the same time. And that takes a little time to do, but when you get there, you're gonna see some magic that occurs. We ran 2 summer school sessions, 3 weeks each, one in June, one in July, 9 to 12, 9-ish, high school kids will slowly come in with their Starbucks in their hands. And as we know, we welcome them and thank them and get them into the classrooms and get them working. We serve them breakfast and lunch. They were grateful. A lot of times they wanted to be off campus and go out with their friends. So lunch is not always the most popular thing for them. Not that they didn't like the food, it's just they want to get off campus and go somewhere else. we were very, I was a little nervous at the very beginning because I was moving from my high school comfortable setting over to the junior high school and the logistical understandings. And it took a little time, but meeting with Nicole and meeting with Maya and I met a few times to really understand the campus, and her commitment was extremely strong to support us, and that made the biggest difference. So thank you, Nicole, too, for your assistance. Daily attendance required, daily participation, and of course on Aries data system. And with John behind us, we couldn't have done this without John or Colin. They just worked overtime early on in the system to get us ready for summer school, and it went without a hitch. So thank you guys too. 47 the first session, 38 the second. Typically the second session is going to be a little smaller. A lot of kids want to get through the first time. We were able to overall recover 66 student credit classes, and those are now on their transcripts, and they moved through with that. So we're really pleased with that. And we're looking forward to seeing them now just get into their regular schedules and not have to worry about the burden of getting those things passed in the future. How we did it, how this team did it: connect, collaborate, and learn. Pictures up there, the top picture is a math class in action. This is IM1, doing measurements, and down below is our science, and every part includes the thinking process, the engagement process, the collaboration process, and just the analysis process. And I knew a lot of these kids during the school time, and they were struggling, and to see them engaged and come back for a second session, and as we call it, the next learning opportunity, it was very inspiring. A connected and caring community. You see back there the popsicles, the Friday popsicles, the let's celebrate your weekly successes. Let's get the teachers out there talking. So we actually built in a little bit of PLC time during maybe a few more extended snack times on Fridays, just to say, how are you doing this week? What are you doing? Share with us your best practices. Share with us your fun moments with the kids. And of course, the kids just came out and just shared what they were doing for us and for themselves. Same again, student engagement and collaborative summer experiences, critical thinking and problem solving. I really like the third one over when they're doing the science experiment with the beakers. I had those students in my English classes, and to see them that engaged, it's just a big, I just want to give them hugs and thank them for coming in and giving them their best. And on the far right, our students are just engaged in the final process of the paperwork, and just showing that it's just not just about the fun, but it's the fun and the learning going together to produce the critical thinking and the problem solving. Our fantastic 2-year summer school biology teacher, Daniela Praselli, just as a master at coming together with project-based learning, understands how to bring our students together. And what you see up here is a final in their summer school experience where they constructed a solar barbecue and cooked hot dogs for themselves and really celebrated that. And she even had her emotional dog there a couple of times to kind of encourage the kids. English, another amazing teacher, Miss Medina, Jasmine Medina to the far right. This is another example of our students just getting that experience of getting in front of the class, listening, and getting feedback from the teacher. In that particular picture right there, Miss Medina is actually coaching them on the proper presentation techniques and giving them an opportunity. The content they covered was social justice research. And we see on the far right were the initial stuff that they were doing to get to the final presentation. So it was great. I got invited to come in there. I just love to hear the presentations, and just students who were hesitant before were able to get to a point of really getting up there and celebrating. Our math program, and I want to just take a few moments on one reason why I brought I brought Matthias here, was to talk just a little bit what we did to shift our thinking. In the previous years, we've had one math teacher, all the levels into one classroom, and we said, ready, set, go. And we started revisiting the research. We started talking about targeted intervention and what does this look like in summer school. And what we designed after having several conversations with the math department was one teacher at the lower levels, 1A, IM1A, IM2, A and B, and give them the small class experiences. And what you see up here is Mr. Benamilis's data that shows the changes that occurred from the first time they took it to coming to the small school experience during summer school. We're not advocating that summer school is going to solve. Matter of fact, we want to have that during the school year, and we're going to look at that. But we were advocating was doing summer school better for kids, and the percentage differences came about as a result of that. I want to call Matthias up just for a moment, and he's just going to give his experience on his successes with his kids, and then I'll finish up and get out of here. So go ahead.
Yeah, what he said.
Thank you.
But more importantly, I remember when I called, or Dennis called me one day in the beginning of June, and he asked me if I was willing to join in the second summer session. At the time, I was working at a different job, so I can earn some money before the school year. And when Dennis told me the ideas and plans that he had for summer school, I was perfectly willing to leave the job I was working at to be a summer school teacher. And my focus for my math class was I wanted to get them out of the assembly line process where one day is one lesson, next day is another, and I expect them to all do their worksheets every single day and show up on time. I decided to change things up. I had them working in groups. I made sure that group work was of most importance because ideally, I would love to spend the entire class period by every single student, guiding them to the problems that they're stuck with and helping them build their confidence with math skills. However, I'm only one person and I cannot multiply yet. So thankfully, I was able to have a teaching aide in the room who was able to guide, walk around with me and give personalized time with each student as much as possible. And through that group work and sort of activities that are built in, I made sure that we split up, some time to have activities. There were some days we only did activities. And at times I hounded Dennis saying, hey, how can I get a soccer ball? And if we don't know where can I buy one? Because I was perfectly willing to do anything, run around town to buy things from stores just so I can get these kids activities or little manipulatables to do activities with. And I really enjoyed it. We had no problems with attendance, behavior. We had a phenomenal group of students, and I plan on doing this again.
Thank you, Matthias. And it was truly a fun enjoyment and inspiration to watch him in his classroom. I'm going to jump back to that at the Play-Doh in a second, but I want to get to this picture. This is from the student voices. So I think this picture tells a lot about his experience in the math class. What you see here is a small group. You see him with the students engaged. You see the students focused. You also see his aide, Omar Castellanos, which we're very much grateful to have him. He is actually a credentialed teacher going on to elementary school in the fall, just supporting this environment. And we believe, and hearing from the students, we did a survey at the very end, that they really like the collaboration small group experience. They now share the activities and even having their popsicle days. But with the math being so challenging at times, and this is being their second or third time around, we knew we needed to do it differently. And his class, combined with him and Matt, they got out about 98% of the kids with credit. And that's not just credit, but the increase in of their percentages. And we're very, very pleased with that one. But just to move back to a couple more stories, and then I will.
I have a question.
Yes.
So that data that you shared with the student score for the school year and then the summer,
yeah.
When was the baseline taken? Is that the end of the year score? Or is
Yes, that was the end of the year. Matt Benamelis helped me with those data results. So they took those scores, and that could have been from first semester too, because when IM1A and when IMB are held. So yeah, those are from the school year. Those are the baselines, and then that was the occurrence over the summer.
Yeah, really nice gains. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. And you can really, I was hoping Matt would be here today, but he couldn't be here. But the work he's doing and the work the math department is doing to focus on that solution is incredible, and allowing us to be part of that solution during summer school is even more exciting. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The other major goal we looked at, and this is Aaron and I had a couple of conversations about this, was increasing the number of students finishing Play-Doh. In the past, we were still struggling a little bit with the going through 3 weeks, getting them done. And then sometimes they come to the second session and then they still aren't finishing. So I talked to both Linus and Josh Kavanaugh and Aaron, and talked about some solutions. And what we came up with was a higher accountability, a pacing guide for the kids to follow, and a call out to the parents after each of the ends of the 3 weeks of the session. So how it looked was the first couple of weeks, they were beginning to show the mass improvements. They understood they had to have 30% done per week to get very close to being done by the end. They knew they needed to come on campus. They knew they needed to finish and work at home. And with the accountability being that at the end of each of the units, they had the test done in front of the teacher, we knew our results were reliable. As a result, we increased to 99%. We only missed one student. That one student is already been passed to our support staff, and other issues and other supports are going to be placed in for that person. And I think one of the most exciting things is we had one student who was just short of making it to Chico State. And we were on the phone with Chico. We were on the phone with our people at Healdsburg. And we were just making sure that Lupita Gonzalez was given the right support for that. And we could thank our teachers, such as Linus, our math teacher, Bernadette Calhoun, who gave up her own time for free to help this student. And a week ago, we were able to call Chico and close the deal. And she's now a freshman at Chico State as a result of her actions. Yeah, we're super excited. We were all in tears when we heard the final news. So, and once again, this is the team that did it, and part of the team, and everybody behind that, we're just grateful for. And final reflections are, as I talked about, starting early, really setting up time with the admin to talk to them about our goals. The Plato one went off, asking biology and English teachers at summer school to collaborate and do project-based learning. And finally, the one that I left you guys with last year was the Rise Up program. And what we did was we really spent time this year at the junior high school working with Nicole, working with Cristo. We had a list, working with Francisco now. And we decided that the best practice right now is to shift that at the beginning of the school year when everybody's there. So what we're going to be doing is we have an identified 22 students. We're looking at a list of about 12 going to Sonoma Challenge, doing the rope course, making the connections, not just with myself, but we're going to invite brand new teachers, freshman teachers, campus supervisors, our SEL counselor, Kim Harris, our new AP, John Weller, to really become part of this team of supporting what we consider the most at-risk needed kids at the very beginning, so we can then target that. After they go, we have 2 follow-up meetings, one after a week, one after a month, and then we're going to have a reunion in December with the teams that went out to Sonoma Challenge just to celebrate kids. We're excited about this. It's in the making. Francisco and I are talking on a regular basis. He's taking a lead on this and helping us get the parent calls out and the teachers. But we believe that this could transform students who come into the junior high school, or into the high school, needing more support than maybe the rest of the students. So with that, just thank you to everybody that's been part of the counselors, Nicole, Odetto, everybody from nutrition, the custodial, the parents, district, and you guys. Thank you very much for a second year opportunity to serve you in this capacity. So with that, thank you for listening to me today. And if you have any questions, I can address them, or I'll get out of your hair so I can get ready for school tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you both so much. Okay, we're moving on to 11.1B. Bless you. Multi-tiered system of support, early warning system.
Okay, so some major advancements here. This is great. Just a little reminder, what is MTSS? So you can see we're really focused on the data part of this, but I think it's also important, the last part of the line there. So using data is very important, but also that we're paying attention to academic, social, emotional, and behavioral learning. So this is not just about academic data, but it's supporting all of the elements of our students. We practiced with our elevator speech. So, we all should be able to say this, right? You, me, the leaders, the board, that MTSS is a system of problem solving to ensure every student grows academically, socially, and behaviorally. So, that's the quick and hopefully not too jargon laden, but, we're good at that too. You guys have seen this triangle before, and part of MTSS is the tiers of support. And we've talked before about tier 1 being supports that all students get. And, for example, we're just having conversations about, as we get ready to open school, attendance and using our early warning system to make sure that students who are missing those first couple of days of school, that we know who they are and we're reaching out to them, starting to build in some processes that every time a student is absent, not only do they get called from the office, they get a robocall, staff member calls, but what happens in the classroom, right? Are they welcomed back the next time they're there by the teacher saying, hey, I noticed that you were gone. Is everything okay? So tier 1 is what everybody should get, and creating systems about that. And then tier 2 is only 15% of the students might not be eligible, but that's where you're starting. You have fewer numbers of students, hopefully, that are showing up in the yellow, and you'll see in our early warning system, which is what I'm going to talk about here. Mostly the yellow data would serve a smaller portion of students, and then lastly, 3 to 5% of the students in the red is what you want to see. The part about incorporating best practice, just so thrilled. John Weller, our assistant principal, sent out a beautiful email today to the high school staff talking about attendance and tardies, and citing his master's research, which apparently I didn't know is based on attendance. So he both shared some really great research and best practices, but also his own practice as a classroom teacher, some tips and tools that he used as a classroom teacher. So the best practices part is an important piece of all of this as well. So we're going to focus tonight on an early warning system. So this is the data system that uses validated indicators. Again, we didn't make this up. It's a big part of the training that we've gone through. So the early warning indicators that we're using, we didn't pull these out of a hat and say, let's use this data. Validated data that is proven in research to be some of the most important data that you look at. We'll be working as a district leadership team in the next week or so to create a timeline about when this data will be looked at by who, and then getting to the tiers of intervention. So, there's a typo. By identifying students early, educators can target interventions and supports to help students achieve readiness. We worked on this. These are our early warning indicators. So you can see attendance, academic assessment, which is STAR for us. Behavior, there's a number of different pieces of behavior there. So office referrals, in-school suspension, and then out-of-school suspension. So ODR is, what is ODR actually? Office discipline referral, right? Office is the O part. Grades, high school course credits, and our SEL indicators. The beautiful thing about this is being part of the consortium that we created, that our superintendent created with a couple of others. So Windsor and Pioneer Olivet and Mark West are all using these same indicators. So we have agreed as 4 districts that these are early warning indicators, and also what the difference between a high risk, at risk, and low risk is. So there's some really nice continuity between the districts. So this was the work that was happening in the early part of last school year. These decisions, working with our consortium, working with our consultants to nail this down and decide exactly how this would look. And that's when I started meeting with John Camera, who I'm going to invite up here in just a minute. So, okay, that's a lot of data, right? And it takes a long time historically to pull this data together to create this, right? It's in different places. The academic assessment is in the Renaissance platform. The attendance is in Aries. The SEL indicator is in CellWeb. So it's in different places, and it's laborious for anybody, whether it be, a parent outreach person or a teacher or a principal, trying to find this data on a regular basis. I'm just going to be honest, it's not well done in our business. So we needed to create a data dashboard. So we started early last year, reaching out to Aries, reaching out to Renaissance, these other data platforms that we've tried to work with, I'll say unsuccessfully. There's a typo in there too. And sharing this with John Camera, our district data integration specialist, and saying, this is what we want to track. We've got to build a dashboard so we're not constantly trying to find this data and creating new spreadsheets. So the idea here is that all students will be screened, right? This is all students. It's not just some kids because we think they're bad or that they've had problems in the past, so we're going to watch them, right? The idea behind the early warning system is that you're able to see and screen every single kid in your system and then match them appropriately to the services and the interventions that they need, and then can monitor. And that's tough to do with the data systems that we currently have. The other districts have purchased Aries Analytics to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars, $10,000+ each of the districts are paying. Our district has Mr. John Camera, and this is where I want to invite him up. So he was with me in the meetings with our data folks, and this is where I'm going to ask him to speak a little bit, Aries and whatnot. And there'd be Zoom meetings because they were showing, they're like, oh, we can do this and we can do that for you. And then he'd come into my office and we'd talk, and I'd be like, so what do you think, John? And he would say, we can do it better. We can do it better. I can build you something. And I was like, these guys have like teams of people to do this, and software engineers and all, like, they do this across the country. Like, okay, John, sure. But he built it. So
we're building it.
Yeah,
we're getting there. It's just, we're in a spot where our data resides, like she said, in many different spaces, different places, and pulling it all together. None of the vendors we saw could do it efficiently, effectively, automatically. And there's ways to do it that I don't know why they're not, or they haven't done yet. Maybe I just got lucky and my skill set was right that I could do it. And Aaron gave me the leeway to say, like, test it out last spring, see what we can do with practice on the high school. And I had some time, gave it a try, showed it to her, and they liked it, said keep it going. And
so he built a shell that you'll see here. If I'm Francisco or I'm Mr. Weller, our new assistant principal, I can pull up Healdsburg High, and right away I can see all, and this isn't accurate data, right? This hasn't flipped the switch to bring in real data, right? We're showing you kind of mock data, but real quick, we can see as a school, the 500 or so students, and then we can start drilling down. So if you look at the very top, we're now looking at a screenshot of the school overview. And we talked about this presentation, and we wanted to show you the data dashboard without showing you actual student information. Cabinet. Chris is like, it'll be okay. Just, don't click on that button. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to bring my computer in.
There is high risk for individuals.
Yeah. So
we're doing screenshots to make sure.
Yeah. So this is the school overview where at a glance, you can see each of the early warning indicators. So attendance, early warning, mark 6 of DNFs. And you can see it's color coded in alignment to our markers, credits of early warning, star reading. And when we drill down, you've got star math, you've got in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions. When we start getting the SEL web data, that will go in here. So you can see there's some blanks down there, not blanks, but there's space on the bottom. And then you can, the next is by student. So the gray there on the left, so these are active students, you can't see their names. John redacted the names for us. but you can see student by student, where are they at, you know, in each of the early warning indicators. So let's go with the top student, the 9th grader, right? Low risk in attendance, low risk in marks of DNF, doing well on credits, but STAR math is at risk, and STAR reading is a high risk. And so you start looking, so what's going on with this kid, right? They're coming to school, their grades are good, but their STAR isn't looking so great. So each kid can be looked at, and then you can drill down to the student level. So this is a student page. So this is a student all on one page. And John's created where you can scroll through and see all the STAR math for the years that they've taken it. Just to do that alone, and this is where like our principals, when he showed this, they were like, mind blown. Oh my God, no way. Like this takes hours to do just to get sometimes just the STAR data of a group of students. And
you have a business card?
I know, right? I'm like, you can monetize this. You did this working for us. So we actually are having that conversation. But let me go back here, and you can easily sort at the very top. So those are drop downs. So for example, ethnicity, it's a drop down bar where real quick, literally a box, I could say, I want to see just my English learners, or I want to see my English learners and my RFEP kids together. I want to see my ever ELs and just condense to that group, literally a click of a button. Did you want to add?
You're absolutely right. So every box across the top could be ethnicity, we have special ed, we have 504s by grade. And then on the top right corner, if you only want to see students that are at risk for attendance, students that are at risk for credits, or any combination of those, you can put them together, and it limits this massive group of students down to a more specific group to help focus on taking 500 kids and making your slightly narrower focus on what you should be spending your effort on. But then, like, this is the magic. This would take a long time if you go into a meeting, putting, you know, their transcripts are all right there. You can see every class, all their grades. You can see their current grades in the top one, all their test scores, their attendance by period, how many times they're absent and tardy this school year, this student. You can see that.
So that's a student.
This is one student right
Gotcha.
here. This was, you know, with the snapshot of the spring of last year, this kid had 112 period absences from high school, and they were tardy 79 times. And I can see first and second period, they have 28 and 35 tardies, but then you can see that. So you can see it on one page. And to do this as a coming to a meeting, if a parent walked in, you click on this page, you couldn't pull this together, and I couldn't pull it together in 10 minutes, but now you can just click here and they could have a good conversation with the parent about what's going on with their kid.
So your parent walks in, you're in an SST meeting, so many uses for this data dashboard, right? The beautiful thing is that we're going to be able to monitor students at a much more finite level than we ever had before. And like I said, the other districts went with Aries Analytics. They're paying tens of thousands of dollars. Their shells are still being built. They're not live yet. They're not going to be live for the beginning of the school year. I shared this with my colleagues who are the point of contact for MTSS, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Can we keep our Aries Analytics? You know, so we will have a district leadership team meeting next week to start to operationalize this. You know, John is doing some fine tuning, and we'll kind of flip the switch hopefully in mid-September. This will become fully operational. So what you see here is Healdsburg High, but he's built this for each of our schools. So Erica has her data dashboard for FMC students. District folks, I can see all of them. So each principal has their data.
Can I ask a question? So I'll pick attendance. I'm going to pick a number. 10 absences. Would a little flag come up as opposed to having to go look at everything to look for what attendance, or would a little flag come up that Mike Pontmasil has been out 10 times this year?
This is the criteria that we use, the district settled on. If you, in attendance, fell across 10 absences, you would fall into the red category, and that would change your color coding from.
But would some
So no, it's currently today.
Like, are you gonna?
Well, I don't mean me, but would
No.
yeah, whomever, administrator, pull this program up and there's a little flag saying, Mike Potmissle's been out 10 times, you should check I'm just curious.
So that's next step in the MTSS process, is for us to define a system of monitoring and when we are going to be pulling the data and looking at it. And but now we have a tool that we can actually use to be able to do it. Yeah.
I'm so impressed. I have another quick question.
With that one, we will get to that point, but if you click back to the first screen. So at what point do we start sending triggers and flags is kind of the next step. We want to kind of use this dashboard to see where we can, but if we started sending attendance emails and then credits emails and then suspension emails, these principles, we don't want them to get lost.
No, I agree.
So we have to first use it and then develop when should we ping staff and admin that you've met some level, you should be, we can get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
And I am serious about this. Is this proprietary? No, I'm serious.
Well, it's a good question. It's
built off of
Excel? I know, but it's Healdsburg's.
Yes.
Sure.
John, so you understand, we didn't really fully, John's our data integration specialist. So he maintains all the data in the district, does all the reporting to the state, maintains Aries. And so he built this, right? Like he coded some of it. There's an element of automaticity to it where Aries is updated daily into the dashboard. There are some reports that we're going to have to, manually, I think, pull, like Renaissance when we give the star and the cell web, but it's as automatic as possible. And they're talking with other superintendents, talking with our consortium. This exists nowhere. And you should have seen the admin geek out when we showed them at the district administrators retreat. They were so excited.
Well, I'm looking at a school administrator sitting next to me, and she's kind of, are you available? No, I am serious. It's like, Healdsburg, John has developed this, and I'm being very
let's give it 6 months. Come back, see how it goes.
Selfish. Pay us for what John's done, and then give John a bonus.
And to his credit, we were dreaming like we want something that does X, Y, and Z. And John was like, okay. And he took a while to do it, but he did it. And he'd come back and say, what about this way, that way? And it's amazing. So it'll be really fun to put into practice and come up with the structures around it and how we use it and things like that. But it is very unique.
Yeah. And I just, wow. I mean, as techie as I am, you are so much more.
This looks incredible. I'm a visual learner, so to have things color coded and to be able to find information needed is wonderful. Erin, is this something that all teachers and all staff will have access to? Is this going to be held with admin?
Right now, it's just admin, but there is a vision for teachers to be.
Yeah, I see the benefit in having teachers have access to this information, and not only teachers, but folks like Cristo, SB, who are intervening counselors, having access to this.
So all this data is in Aries. A teacher could access it. It's putting it together. So at some point, if we like it, it's running well, we could limit it by the same way we do as Aries. They could see their students and make it easier for them as well. So it's the same as what they could see in Aries today, just in a compact.
And it's, keep in mind, it's a pilot right now, right? So we're building it in the air, and we're going to be using it here as school starts at the site administrators and counselors level. And then as we work out the kinks and can figure out how to best do it, it will go down to teachers who will be able to access their students. So. Yeah.
Thank you. This just looks amazing. And it's so helpful to have you both describe it and talk about it, because that's different than looking at the reports. So you were saying that the data that's in here is actually not the data.
It's our data, but it's not tied to Aries right now. So when he hits.
No, because I was looking at those slides going, oh no, what is that correct? Or is it just made up numbers on the?
No, it's our students, but it's not pulling on like he said. It's going to talk to Aries every night, right? Once we go live, once we say, okay, good, how we want it, the colors are right. So it will pull correctly. It's not pulling on a daily basis right now. So it's our data, but some of it's pulled like on one day and some of it's pulled on a different day because he was building it. Does that make sense?
I guess I'm proving that the board also finds these reports quite useful and interesting. And, I think seeing things divided up into these categories and these data points are things that we've talked about so much, and being able to see them kind of integrated this way is really useful in just kind of looking at the bigger picture as well. So, I'm totally impressed. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to thank John for kind of going out on a limb, because I think some other people in his position would have come out of the Aries meetings or the Renaissance meetings and been like, yeah, sure, let's just get that. But he was like, no, I think we can make it better. I really do think we can make it better. And I was like, okay.
And he changed tact a couple times, right? Like you had a different vision at the beginning,
I did.
different program. And yeah,
I did have to change it up because things I tried didn't work. My first initial approaches didn't work, and I knew it wouldn't work or be able to deploy it to our site, and had to change it. So, they're saying very nice things about me. Let's make sure they've given me the freedom to do this. So it's like great boss, great superintendent. So it's not just me. They've given me the space and the room and what I need to be able to produce this too. So it is a team here.
And what this will mean for students getting what they need when they need it is massive. So
that's what I was going to say too, is that it's great that it's so great that this tool exists now, because this is such useful information for the people that are supporting our students to have. And these are the things that are specific to our district and the things that we care about and the criteria that we've talked about, many times that we use. So it's really amazing.
So the next steps is using this tool. As you said, kind of there are decision rules that need to be made about when does it get triggered, who gets the flag, identifying the appropriate support strategies. So as part of this, another rail of the work has been identifying the tiers of support, right? So in attendance, what happens for all students in tier 1? What happens in tier 2? What happens? And so aligning the tiers of support with the data to make sure that every kid gets what they need, and that we're then monitoring, okay, we tried this, they're getting more counseling, or phone calls are going home every time that kid is absent by the teacher, whatever the support is, and then being able to monitor that in real time. Like, oh, look, he's not absent to first period anymore. I can look at that on a daily basis and pull it up in a one-stop shop. And oh, look, his grade went up too, and Mark 6, and star went up. So all in one place.
I just feel like we could just drop the mic right now and just go home.
Yeah.
Well, and that last bullet's really important. It's not just fidelity of implemented intervention, it's the efficacy, right? Like we're going to be able to monitor, is what we're doing fixing the problem? And if it isn't, we need to do something else, right? So it's going to be a great tool for that as well.
And he's ours, right?
Celebrating that success too. Awesome.
It's a lot more fun when you can manipulate it and play with it, but the capacity to do that in a public forum and make a huge illegal mistake was too high. So yeah.
Okay, so we're on to 11.1C, Resolution 2403, Attendance Awareness Month.
Glad they talked a lot about attendance.
It's the subtopic of the leitmotif.
Led right into this. So every September, school districts come together. I don't know if it's across the nation or definitely in California to celebrate September as Awareness Month. You have a resolution, I think it's in front of you, very similar to what we brought forward last year. And we're asking you, of course, to adopt it. I know each site is working on different kinds of attendance initiatives and using data to inform the interventions that they use as it relates to attendance. And they have a wealth of resources to help support that and get out the message to the community and families as well. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Would someone like to move to approve the resolution? Thank you, Diane.
I move to approve the resolution number 24-03. Tennis Awareness Month.
I'll second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, it's a resolution.
Roll call. President McAllister.
Aye.
Vice President Clerk Lopez Pardo.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez Jimenez.
Aye.
Trustee Romo Flores.
Aye.
Trustee Potmissel.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm
Okay.
just staying up here.
Stay up.
Staying up there.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to D, the COVID-19 update.
Here I am, changing hats. Your friendly COVID coordinator, who will soon be out of a
Soon
job,
be
I'm
out of
sure.
that job, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
other jobs.
Yes, I have plenty of others. So this is just a quick COVID update. If you just go to the next slide, I just have a couple of slides to make it all cohesive. So the big change is, well, there's quite a bit of relaxation across the board, but what I think is the biggest change is that Cal OSHA finally aligned at the end of the whole thing, I must say, with the California Department of Public Health guidelines. So that's nice, because that means what applies to staff also applies to students. So these are recommendations, not requirements. I don't know if I need to read them. I'll hit some big ones. They recommend that you self-isolate. So if you're positive, they recommend that you stay home. It's not a requirement. Another big change is isolation can end after day 5, provided you have those conditions. And you don't have to give me a negative test anymore. I'm not tracking your testing, either for staff or for students. Any test is okay. And I think those are the major takeaways, both in terms of testing and isolation. Do you have any questions about that before?
I have 2 questions, but
Sure.
one about just the testing.
Uh-huh.
Do we have tests provided? Okay, so
We do have some tests, and I must say that they might be on their way out. So that's one thing that I'm going to have to. So whatever we have, we're happy to distribute ASAP if people need them.
okay.
Yeah.
And the other question, I think I know the answer is, so this information, this is obviously going out to parents, staff, et cetera.
I did,
So it's-
I think Karen has, yeah, as soon as we have your,
Right, okay,
Yeah.
just so people are aware.
yeah, it's actually been hard since early summer. I think the end of May, actually, it's actually,
Okay.
so, but
I mean,
here,
it's
the
still
start
out
of
there.
school.
I don't want people to forget.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm as guilty as anyone.
Yes. And then on to reporting is our next slide. It's pretty simple. So we do still have a reporting mandate that we send out a general notice to all staff and students should we hear of a positive case. So we'll continue to do that, and we do that as I don't think that we missed the 24-hour deadline last year, and we'll continue to do that. We do have to report if there's like what might be an outbreak to CDPH, but we no longer again have to do positive tests or negative tests to have you return to school or return to work. And those are the resources there for you.
Diane, can you tell me what the demand has been for free tests up till now?
Hardly any, in fact.
Okay.
We've boxes.
Okay. That's what I wondered, because I do know a handful of people in the last month who've had
Yes.
positive COVID tests. And I just think if there's anything that we can do to encourage people to stay home if they do get COVID, and to make it not such a burden, because it's expensive to have multiple tests if you have to be testing again and again. But if you're saying there hasn't been much demand, then great. Thank you.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, each site still has a supply, but like I said, they're probably approaching their 6th month. So happy to send them out with the caveat that,
With the new guidance, there's really just the initial positive, and then it's 5 days, and once symptoms are subsided, go back, so there's no need for a negative test.
And no need for multiple.
Yeah. So
We've had families at Corazon come in for a COVID test. I think that cold, it's a flu, it's, you know, it's something else. So I think once a reminder is sent out and people are notified that there is COVID test available, maybe it would be a good idea for families to just pick up a COVID test and just have it just in case, you know, someone is sick, Billy is sick and has to go to first grade just to take that test, because I think the routine of, you know,
it's gone.
taking the test, washing your hands every 30 minutes, like that is completely like out the door. We totally forgot. So just, I got COVID 2 weeks ago too, and I didn't know it was COVID. I was like, oh, it's cold. So yeah.
We've also made them available at our food pantry. And we still didn't get rid of them. So I'm happy to even give some to Corazon. So.
That's great. I just think as long as we have them available, if anyone needs them, then it just creates a situation where it's not an additional burden for people to buy multiple tests to test family members or whatever.
And you'd be doing me and maintenance a favor by taking some.
We just got to watch the expiration dates.
Yeah. All right. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a HEF report?
We do not.
Do we have a HADA report?
We have HADA President Robin Doherty in attendance. Welcome back, Robin.
So this is going to be short and sweet. I haven't met with the teachers other than in the lunch line eating Guadalajara food. Ooh. So here's what I did hear from the teachers. They are really thankful for the paid work time that they had to get the new RESIG training done. The RESIG training is different than the targeted solutions. On the targeted solutions, you could zip ahead and take the test. On RESIG, you had to do every second. So thank you for that time to do that. Thank you for the wonderful breakfast and lunch for the kickoff day, the teachers. It was delicious. And the only other news that I have is every day is a great day to be a gray pup at the junior high. The junior high is a rockin'. They are kid focused. They are positive incentive focused to make change. And it's a collaborative atmosphere at the junior high. So thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Have a great day tomorrow. I don't think we have a CSA.
No CSA. Okay.
Either. So time for trustees to report out on anything.
Anyone have any reports?
I will say that we had a great district kickoff day yesterday. Did a lot of recognition, talked about some very positive pieces of data at each site, and then had a wonderful alumni panel of BIPOC students that was put together by Corazon Healdsburg, that was facilitated by Diego Gonzalez from Corazon, and was just a great way to start the year and hear some student testimony about what was great about their education and what they would change. And they pushed us in ways, but overall we're very, very positive, and even tears of gratitude shed, with their teachers. So it was a really nice way to kick off.
Awesome.
And Crystal had a part in that as a Corazon employee. So thank you, Crystal. Yeah.
Well, I just want to wish everyone luck at school tomorrow. So much care and preparation and love, I'm just going to say it, has gone into getting ready for school to start tomorrow. And I know our family is super grateful. And so I just wanted to say thanks, and I hope everything goes really smoothly. And I was briefly at the new employee training, which Karen put on and did the most amazing job. I was just there at the beginning, but I felt like you did such a wonderful job setting the tone for, what this district is all about. And just the care that you put into it was so obvious, and your personal story was really wonderful. So thank you so much for getting that. Just looked great, and the new employees looked like a wonderful bunch of people. So that's really exciting.
Okay, we can move on to 11.2. No need for a break.
No need for a break today. We're on to 11.2A, certificated substitute pay rates for 2023, 2024.
That's me. All right, so our certificated pay rates expired on June 30th, 2023. And so I bring to you a new list of rates for this school year. And so I do have a few slides for you to show some comparisons for the county. So if we want to show what some of the school districts through the county are currently, so there's a spreadsheet that the county office shares throughout the districts. And so right now, this is what some of the counties are currently offering for their subrates. Now, some of these are from last year, so I don't know if some of these will change for the coming year. I don't know if they'll be bringing new rates for the upcoming school year. But in order for us to stay competitive, to make sure that we continue to have substitutes for our teachers, I am proposing to increase our rates to stay competitive. So the next slide shows, so our current rate was 200, and I'm proposing that we increase to 220 for the 1 to 10 consecutive days in the same assignment. And that's for a full day. For a half day, we would go from $100 to $125. And you see the breakdown for days 11 to 20, and then days 21 and after. Now that's range A, step 1, and that's the same rate of pay that is the salary schedule that we're currently on for the 23-24 school year. And last year, the board chose to do Sonoma County retirees. And I would believe that you would choose to still continue doing Sonoma County retirees.
And we get a significant number of subs for retired teachers. So
yeah, we have a good number. So if you feel that this is what I recommend, this is Superintendent Vanden Heuvel and discuss this with myself, and this is what we're recommending. So any questions?
I do. Sorry. I'm just looking at the rates. And again, we don't know what other districts are doing as yet. And I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, that last year we had difficulty getting substitutes. And I want to ensure that we have the appropriate pay rate so that we encourage people to come. I mean, I'm certainly willing to vote in favor of this at this point, but I would hope that we would look at this again as we have more information, because I really don't want us to be where we were last year, where principals and teachers had to give up a prep period, or not give up, but volunteer to go in and cover a class, et cetera. So, you know, what do we do to get a qualified substitute? So I'll leave it at that.
I would be fine if we were to approve this now and then reevaluate once.
But we can always come back. And for lack of a better term, there will be an arms race in terms of sub rates that will happen in the county between now and probably mid-September. So we'll raise, and then I know Windsor will probably go back and raise. Cloverdale is largely the highest. And there's a philosophy, go back to the slide before this, besides Petaluma, which is out in Coyote Runner Park, there's the districts that are farther away from the major population bases in the county feel like they need to pay more to attract people to make the drive, right? So Cloverdale, Sonoma Valley are your highest paid besides Roseland. And so we're not Cloverdale, but we're not Windsor either. So we have a feeling that we need to be a little more competitive in our rates to make people, and there's a weird thing with people from Santa Rosa. They think Healdsburg's so far out, even though it's 2.5 minutes past Windsor.
I would feel comfortable approving this now, but reevaluating once everyone.
Yeah. And I'll keep track of that spreadsheet. It's a Google spreadsheet that they keep. Yeah. Are you looking at it right now? Yeah. Yeah. So it's a Google spreadsheet that's constantly, being populated as boards meet. So
I concur with Crystal too. I kind of think that that it's probably wise of us to make our sub rates generous, acknowledging that there is a drive involved, even though it's not always super far. And also just so that we're attracting, I don't think there's anything wrong with attracting people by paying a little bit more for subs. So if we'll revisit it in October, once we kind of have the numbers to make sure that we're competitive.
Yeah, and if there's need sooner, we can always come back sooner, and we'll know pretty quickly.
Okay.
I would think that people
can I ask a quick question? Range A, step 1. What is the? Oh, it's right here. Never mind. I just read. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I move to approve the certificated substitute pay rates for 2023.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right. Last but not least, we are on 11.2B, the variable term waiver.
All right. So I bring this item to you. We have Elizabeth Barone, our middle school counselor. This is her second year at the middle school, and she is currently in she's in her last stages of finalizing to become a school counselor. She's not quite finished with her program. And in order for her to continue at the needs to have a subsequent waiver to finish. And so this waiver needs to be board approved and submitted to the CTC for her to be able to complete, to be at counseling, to be at the junior high. So I'm asking the board to approve the waiver so she can continue to do the wonderful job that she's doing at the middle school. And I think she just has a few more months of her program, and then she needs to do some counseling hours at the junior high. And I believe she does need to do some hours at the high school too, that I think she'll be reaching out to Mr. Manriquez.
All right. Well, I will move to approve the variable term waiver for Elizabeth Barone.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. All right. Do we have any Board of Trustee reports, comments, requests for information?
I just have one comment. I did attend yesterday's district kickoff, and I think it was really wonderful for me just to see and witness so many of alumni students becoming teachers at our district and coming back to teach. So I was very pleased to see those faces on campus again. I felt like a high school reunion all over again.
They're all within a few years of your graduating class, right?
We were all, I think most of the new teachers coming in were in high school. We were in high school at one point together.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, we do not need to recess to close session. And the next regular board meeting is Wednesday, September 20th here at Healdsburg City Hall. The deadline to submit agenda items is Monday, September 11th. And all the backup material is due by Wednesday, September 13th. And the meeting is adjourned. Thanks.